for coming in a bit late. I had misdiarized to 10 o'clock. Normally, I'm always on time. Hopefully, you have forgiven me. All protocols observed. I feel greatly honored to deliver a keynote speech at this momentous occasion of the Transparency International Zimbabwe Research Launch. The studies being launched today are the Gender Corruption Barometer Study and Corruption Impact Analysis on Tax Administration and Revenue Mobilization in Zimbabwe. Today's event marks another milestone in the fight against corruption in Zimbabwe. I wish to congratulate TIZ for the initiative, as research in areas of corruption are still very few in Zimbabwe. We are all aware that Zimbabwe is a signatory to the United Convention Against Corruption, to the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, UNCAC, which Zimbabwe signed on 20 February 2004 and ratified on 8 March 2007. Zimbabwe has continuously evaluated their progress in fighting corruption since the ratification and adoption of UNCAC. Under Chapter 2 of the provisions of the UNCAC, member states are required to ensure transparency and accountability in the management of public finances. In addition, the provisions of UNCAC also notes the crucial role of the civil society in the prevention of corruption and raising public awareness regarding the existence, causes, and gravity of and threats posed by corruption. I believe that it is under this provision that TIZ has taken the initiative to conduct these studies to raise awareness on the existence of gender corruption and the impact to raise awareness on the existence of gender corruption and the impact of corruption on tax administration and revenue mobilization. We applaud Transparency International Zimbabwe chapter for playing a critical role in educating the people of Zimbabwe on the ramifications caused by corruption. In the field of anti-corruption, such publications are not only there to raise public awareness, but also serves as a pedestal to inform policymaking by government, as they will inform on the causes, effects, and probably the solutions to the prevalence of corruption in the sectors explored. These studies also assist the anti-corruption agencies like the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission, ZACC, in coming up with informed strategies in the fight against corruption. ZACC has been mandated to spearhead the development of a national anti-corruption strategy. I am pleased to inform this gathering that the development of the strategy has been undertaken through a highly inclusive and consultative process. I would like to take this opportunity to thank TIZ for participating fully in the consultative workshops and for mobilizing other civil society organizations to do the same. We are now finalizing this grand plan. Researches normally do not come cheaply, as they usually require a lot of resources, and it takes a really determined institution to deploy its resources on matters of national importance like this one before us today. I wish to thank the current Transparency International Zimbabwe executive for realizing the need for a harmonious working relationship as they discharge their role as a civil society entity. The Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission is in the process of engaging the TIZ to sign a memorandum of understanding, which we look forward to signing the first quarter of this year. As part of the memorandum of understanding, we hope to conduct researches together in other areas of concern in the fight against corruption. As we gather here today to celebrate achievements which have been posted by Transparency International Zimbabwe in the field of research, I am pleased to note that the invited delegates are a representative of persons from different sectors: government, private sector, members of the public, for the purposes of sharing their research findings drawn from 2 distinct studies which they carried out in 2019. I wish to congratulate Transparency International Zimbabwe for choosing to inform the public of these empirical studies on the depth and breadth of corruption in the specific sectors. I am aware that in any research discourse, they are bound to have conflicting ideas, and it is my hope that as participants to this forum, we engage in constructive debates which add value to a research culture being promoted by Transparency International Zimbabwe here today. The Gender Corruption Barometer is an important study. Without taking any bias, in Zimbabwe, it appears as if more males are prone to corruption than females. Maybe it is time that we deliberately give women an opportunity to assume leadership positions in more public and private institutions if we are to make significant progress in the anti-corruption drive. I am informed that the study findings portray that women in Zimbabwe are suffering from the vagaries of corruption. They tirelessly work for their families, and in that process, they are taken advantage of by the corrupt. As a woman also, I wish to exhort all women to continue to uphold their integrity and encourage our male counterparts to do the same. You can do it, our male counterparts. The second study is on corruption impact analysis on tax administration and revenue mobilization in Zimbabwe. This is another topic of public interest, which again is crucial in curbing financial leakages. I think from the studies carried out last year, Zimbabwe is losing 1.8 billion every year due to leakages in this sector. Zimbabwe is grappling with efforts to improve on its tax payment and domestic revenue collection owing to a plethora of factors. This study informs us that there have been positive actions by the government in formulating new policies to plug loopholes in the collection and administration of taxes. However, the study notes that there is still room for improvement in the implementation of the new policies, particularly in most public institutions. ZACC is on record that those who have an affinity for either evading their tax obligations or avoiding their tax obligations will be fully brought to account for their actions. We will institute thorough investigations, recover assets, arrests, and hand them over for prosecutions without fear or favor. I heard the previous speaker speak of catch and release. We share the same concerns. As ZACC, we are also frustrated by the catch and release syndrome. But let me assure you that we are working tirelessly together with the National Prosecuting Authority to find ways of ending this catch and release game. The current commission has been in office for less than 12 months. But now I can assure you that we tried our best to rejuvenate and give clout to ZACC as an institution. We have made arrests from those believed to have committed grand corruption. Currently, we are running out of space of storage for recovered properties. A number of bank accounts have been frozen. But again, we are still working on the legal framework to ensure that we finalize the processes with the courts. As you know, our law currently is that the National Prosecuting Authority is the one which must take these matters to court. But we are again trying to rope in the Attorney General's office to do that work so that we make progress in that area. And I'm happy that the parliamentarians are here and that they will assist in coming up with the necessary legal framework in the fight against corruption, especially again the Whistleblowers Protection Act, which you have heard from the previous speaker. The Commission is also rolling out public education and prevention programs nationwide. ZACC can boldly assure you that the drag note will continue until there is positive behavioral change towards anti-corruption among the public in the country. We are also eagerly awaiting the 2019 Transparency International Corruption Perception Index and ranking and see what we have reaped as a country. I sincerely hope that the Commission's efforts over the 8 or so months should have registered some positive impact in curbing corruption in Zimbabwe. We will continue in our efforts until Zimbabwe improves on its global perception index to the levels that make it easier to receive direct foreign investment, which in effect will breathe life into our struggling industries. As I conclude, let me reiterate that for so many years in the past, gender has never been an important factor, and as such, women have not been viewed as a colossal group, despite them constituting more than 52% of the Zimbabwean population. This could be the bold reason why feminists continue to argue for anti-corruption strategies that are well-gendered. Therefore, these studies are coming on board at the right time to all progressive Zimbabweans. Finally, I want to thank Transparency International Zimbabwe chapter for inviting me today. It is my hope that our collaboration grows from strength to strength as we continue to share the Zimbabwe space in the fight against corruption. The ZACC vision of a citizenry and institutions that uphold integrity and good governance for a corruption-free Zimbabwe by 2030 can only be realized with such genuine stakeholder collaboration. I thank you.